Late one evening, as the moon hung low over the ancient graveyard, a young man named Daniel wandered among the tombstones. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Daniel had heard the old tales, the ones about a cursed shirt buried somewhere in this very cemetery. Legend had it that the shirt belonged to a man who had died under mysterious circumstances. Anyone who found the shirt and dared to wear it would be doomed to suffer the same fate. But Daniel, driven by a mixture of curiosity and disbelief, wanted to see it for himself. As he ventured deeper into the graveyard, he noticed something strange. A freshly dug grave lay open, and inside, folded neatly on the coffin, was a white shirt. The fabric seemed to glow in the moonlight, beckoning him closer. Against his better judgment, Daniel reached down and picked up the shirt. It felt oddly warm to the touch, as if it had a life of its own. Suddenly, a chilling voice whispered in his ear, "Put it on, and join me in the darkness." Terrified, Daniel tried to drop the shirt, but his hands wouldn't let go. He could feel something pulling him toward the open grave. The ground beneath him began to shift, and he realized too late that the curse was real. The shirt tightened around him, as if invisible hands were dragging him down into the earth. With one last scream, Daniel vanished into the grave, leaving only the cursed shirt behind, waiting for its next victim. The graveyard was silent once more, but the legend of the shirt in the graveyard would continue to haunt anyone who dared to enter after dark. Years passed, and the story of Daniel's disappearance became just another ghostly legend told around campfires. Most dismissed it as a local myth, but for those who knew the truth, the graveyard remained a place of fear. One autumn evening, a group of teenagers, daring each other to test their courage, decided to visit the graveyard. Among them was Emily, a girl who didn't believe in ghost stories. She had heard the tale of the cursed shirt, but scoffed at the idea that a piece of clothing could be dangerous. As they wandered through the rows of graves, laughing and joking, the group suddenly fell silent when they spotted something strange. There, in the middle of the path, lay a white shirt, perfectly folded. The air grew colder, and the wind died down, leaving an eerie stillness in the graveyard. Emily, determined to prove the legend wrong, walked up to the shirt. Her friends tried to stop her, but she waved them off. "It's just a shirt," she said, picking it up, but the moment her fingers touched the fabric, a shiver ran down her spine. The shirt felt unnaturally heavy, as if burdened by something unseen. "Let's go," one of her friends whispered, panic rising in their voice. But Emily was too stubborn to back down now. She decided to put the shirt on, laughing at the growing fear in her friend's eyes. As she slipped it over her head, something changed. The laughter died in her throat, and her smile froze. The shirt clung to her skin like ice, and she could hear whispers, faint but growing louder, echoing around her. "Join us, join us." Her friends watched in horror as Emily's expression turned blank, her eyes clouding over with a darkness they couldn't understand. She began to walk slowly toward the oldest part of the graveyard, as if in a trance. No matter how much they screamed her name, she didn't respond. Finally, one of the braver friends grabbed her arm, trying to pull her back. But it was too late. The ground beneath Emily started to crack, and ghostly hands reached up, grasping at her legs. She let out a blood-curdling scream, snapping out of the trance for just a moment, her eyes wide with terror. But the shirt held her tight, pulling her down into the earth. The last thing her friends saw was her hand disappearing into the ground, the cursed shirt still clinging to her body. The graveyard grew quiet once more, and the wind began to blow through the trees again, as if nothing had happened. Only the echoes of Emily's scream lingered, haunting the night air. From that day on, the story of the cursed shirt spread even further. No one dared to enter the graveyard after dark, fearing that they too would fall victim to the curse. But the shirt was still there, waiting, always waiting, for the next soul to claim.